This is the Daily Habit, and today's show is a lean, mean fighting machine. He's been an action sports photographer since before it was even called action sports. Scott Starr is here to talk about his iconic imagery, and musical guest American Still flex their muscle with a live set that's sure to bring down the house. Plus, Jordan Morris goes to the premiere of The Water Horse, Legend of the Deep, to prove that all monsters suck compared to American monsters. All that, so much more coming up next. Welcome, everyone. It's the Daily Habit. How's it going? Pat Parnell, and in studio, Scott Starr. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have, let me just say, enjoyed your work for too many years. I'd care to mention here on the show. But yeah. So what have you been busy with lately?
A lot of research, a lot of working with my company, Tail Devil.
Yeah,
sparking device.
Dude, I got the little Groms, man. They love those things.
Exactly.
Start fires everywhere.
They love it.
Sparks, but like sparks, not fires.
Yeah,
but
fire.
And researching for some books you got in the works, right?
I have about up to 10 books. This big publishing company called me up. Yeah.
Wow.
So far, it's 10 years worth of work.
Doing one book would be like amazing, but no,
exactly.
10. So kind of like you're just getting old archive footage, great, like kind of the backstories.
Everything from my photos to the history of snowboarding, history of Makaha skateboards.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got so many questions to ask you. Right now, we'll do 29.5 seconds satisfaction. Just a mere sampling of some of the like classic images this guy is responsible for. Check this out. There it is, 29.5 seconds of satisfaction. And as I mentioned, I have so many things to ask you. So I want to start by first asking, like, how did it all start? I mean, was it like a pinhole camera, or like, how did the whole photography thing happen for you?
Actually, I was an artist, but I couldn't sit still long enough. So I figured if I took a picture, that was it.
ADD before they even called it ADD.
I had no idea. Yeah.
So I know that everyone very familiar with your skateboarding shots, also your snowboarding stuff, but it was the snowboarding thing that came first. How did that all happen?
Actually, I was paddling out. I'd moved to Santa Barbara to go to school, photography school. Paddling out at Rincon to take surf shots. Chuck Barfoot was paddling out the surf, and they started talking. And Chuck Barfoot is one of the first snowboard pioneers.
And one of the first snowboard manufacturers, right?
Yeah, there were like 5 at the time, and he's one of the very first.
Yeah. I'm going to show this little share time here, but this is 1985, everyone. If we can get a shot of this, okay? Absolutely radical. Maybe we'll change the show name because it's ironically relevant now to call it that. Let me see if I can get it to the inside page. Little inside spread, all 3 shots, and this is Chuck Barfoot right here, right?
Yep. Notice the surfboard leash before they had snowboard leashes.
Yeah. I hope our viewers appreciate
Damian Sanders.
Damian Sanders doing actually just a straight trick on a swallowtail, not an iguana tail grab.
And this is actually during the second World Snowboard Contest.
Oh my gosh. Well, I hope all the snowboarders out there appreciate we've come a long way, trans world and so forth. So, and then obviously making the shift to skateboarding, right?
Yes. Down the line, yeah.
Which is really cool. You got a really cool shot. Thrasher cover of Omar Hassan. Who looks like he's like 7. How?
He was a kid. They called me up. Thrasher said, pick him up from school, take him to the blockhead ramp, take the cover shot. So I picked him up, took him home, ate a bowl of Fruity Pebbles, and we went to the blockhead ramp.
Back in Omar's blockhead days, which is really cool. And this one, again, a little just keeping the history alive. Ed Templeton's first cover, and just doing a little bonk. I remember how huge, like the nose.
And that was probably the first nose bonk in a magazine too.
Really?
That was a big trick.
That is just classic. So I got to ask you then, with being connected with so many things over the years, what has been like the coolest aspect of being connected of a certain contest, time, era?
Well, the coolest thing was being there when snowboarding was developing, because every year, every manufacturer had a new board design, a new shape. It was getting more popular. People laughed at you. It was just, it grew so fast in 5 years. It was really cool.
At that time, did you even think that you'd be allowed in the resorts?
We got kicked off mountains. We got laughed at. I mean, it was terrible. And the boards didn't work that good.
No, how about, but you look back like Soda Springs and all those early days, and it was like, a quarter. It was basically almost the size of this. And now they're doing like super pipe.
We would build a half pipe, but you'd have one spot to hit here and one here, and that was it.
Yeah.
The rest was mush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how about, okay, well, getting back then on the skate stuff, obviously you've seen skate through so many ups and downs, like Death Avert, Rebirth Avert, Street Plants, Ho-Hos. Like, what's been like the most classic era? Was it the 70s stuff, or?
70s is a classic, but I think the 80s, like the peak of Thrasher's like 10th anniversary, that was the peak of skateboarding. Before the media jumped in, like ESPN and all those other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'd say, yeah, late 80s was like epic time.
Yeah, and is there any probably big surprises when you see a guy like, say, Tony Hawk, how big he's become? You shot, wasn't best-selling Thrasher magazine ever, was Tony covered that you shot?
10th anniversary, Tony on the cover, 1991 I think it was. But I shot him as far back as 1985. And he was just a kid.
Right.
So yeah, nobody knew, but he was the one smart guy.
He was. I remember just as a young kid watching him kill it in the keyhole down at Del Mar, and I knew then, I'm like, he was doing stuff and I could not figure out what he's doing.
He was a little robot, yeah. He was definitely.
A little too good for his own good. But so getting back to the whole research stuff, you've been digging up some really, really cool stuff. Anything like super odd that just kind of blew you away?
Well, I've been digging up a lot of the 60s skateboarding stuff.
Yeah.
And there was a champion like Patty McGee from 1964.
Right.
She was in the cover of Life magazine.
Yeah.
And I found a Bell telephone ad she did in 1965.
I think we're going to take a look at that later in the show. We got a lot more to cover, but first, one of the things you did, I guess, find in your kind of recovery of all this old footage, the first surfing dog. A little treat, taking you to the break. Enjoy this. Coming up, Bay Area punkers Americans still unleash a live performance on the Habit stage. Plus, Jordan Morse goes to the premiere of The Water Horse, Legend of the Deep, and exposes the Loch Ness Monster for the diva it really is. What's your favorite monster, Nessie, Sasquatch, or